students, and sorry for this small communication gap. And to take it further from this point only, let's start the communication. So communication, as we have just talked about a few elements of directing in the initial part. Ma'am took up motivation and I'm coming on to communication now. So what does communication means? As you can see in the slide, communication is something which me and you are doing right now, right? So I'm trying to communicate the content of the chapter which you really want to revise. So there's this exchange happening wherein we are constantly asking you to pour in your questions, wherein we're asking for your feedback also. So somewhere we are actually trying to talk about this directing chapter. We are exchanging the ideas and contents and views written in your NCRT through a person. Like I'm the sender here as of now to communicate this particular thing to you. So communication is something which actually is done for creating a common understanding. What I know about the directing chapter, I want you to have the same understanding, common understanding. And please understand that this is something which is very, very, very basic to our life. Communication, if I minus communication from my personal life or from my professional life, life would be very, very, very monotonous. It would be very dull, and probably all our aims would be unattempted, right? So we'll not be able to do anything. So that's very basic. Moving ahead, very interesting process wherein we actually take it as a burden ki ye kya hai encoding and decoding. And let me tell you students, somewhere when I'm talking to you and when you probably talks to your friend, you all do this in your daily routine life. So coming on to the understanding of the process of communication which we unconsciously follow in our life, right? So as I said that when you want to communicate something, there is something that you want to convey, that message, that content, that idea, that feeling you want to convey to the other party, right? So that's one thing is obvious, that in communication, the first party is the sender, and that sender wants to communicate something to obviously the another party, which is the receiver, right? So common statement, if your teacher have ever said to you, am I talking to walls? No, she never talks to walls, she talks to you, and you are the receiver at the other end, right? So there are two parties, sender and the receiver. Coming back to what sender has to convey, right? So second element of communication is the message, right? So the message basically is the element that needs to be actually conveyed to the receiver, right? So when I talk about message, that message could be anything related to instruction, a heartfelt feeling, or probably the guidelines, or probably what I am expecting out of you to work upon, right? For example, in your question paper, you get a question that I have communicated you as a teacher to answer. You give the answer as a feedback or as a response to what I'm asking you. That is what communication all about. This is the second element, right? After understanding what the sender wants to communicate, now please let's see how this message is framed. On the part of sender, the communicator, somewhere this process of encoding is done. Students, please understand this clearly. Encoding basically simply relates to what I'm trying to tell you is I'm trying to convert that into symbols or words, or probably I'm trying to explain you with the help of pictures. So when I'm drawing this and when I'm annotating on the screen, I'm trying to use these annotations to explain you something, right? So this is the idea I'm trying to use as encoding to explain you the concept, right? So encoding goes into your mind, encoding goes into the mind of the sender. I'm translating the message into symbols. And obviously what language I know probably English and Hindi, and being a Punjabi person, I probably know a little bit of Punjabi. But if ever I encode something in Punjabi, that goes disaster, right? So somewhere, whatever language you know, you would be encoding the point. So usually encoding, decoding is the concept that we use in the army background, wherein some secretive messages are also encoded and decoded between people, right? So coming on to the next thing, once sender knows what is to be conveyed, he encodes the message. Then obviously he will be using some media. right? So he'll be using some media to convey the message. मेरे दिल की बात बिना कहे तुम सुन लो, तो वो तो शायद पर्सनली ममा ही आपकी बात समझ पाएगी, या ब्ला 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 बॉलीवुड सिचुएशन में बहुत लोग और समझा देते हैं ऐसी बातें. But somewhere sender would need media, right? So if you've seen older movies, purani movies mein, that pigeon is used as media. But in today's time, we have medias like WhatsApp, we have medias like your Facebook, we have medias like normal texting, intranet and all. So all these medias are made available. If I talk in business context, all these media instruments are made available through which the sender is able to send the message to the receiver. And one of the best media, which nothing can match, is face-to-face communication, like what we are doing through this instrument, laptop and internet and all, right? So that face-to-face communication is something which would always be there. And then after talking about media, the by using the with the help of this media, the sender is able to send the information to receiver. Now please understand, what I said in the real sense should be received by the receiver to make the communication effective. Now actually, when the sender is sending the message, receiver is decoding the message with the help of his with the help of the language or the interpretation that he knows in his mind, right? So decoding is basically about converting encoded symbols of sender by the receiver as per his understanding, and yahi sara gadbad ho jata hai. What I'm trying to tell you, probably you were not comfortable with that language, or probably you were somewhere else, physically present here and mentally somewhere else, and the moment decoding goes wrong, the receiver is not able to get the message as conveyed by the sender. And this is what creates the noise or barriers or breakdown in the communication. So agar to whatever I said is conveyed and properly, and you have received it properly, the way, same sense that I've tried to convey, the communication would be effective. Now, in order to complete that kind of information, the receiver needs to send the feedback. Please understand one thing very clearly. It's not necessary that receiver would be conveying only confirmation message that I have understood all. You may always have your doubts. You may confirm the message, you may not support the message. But when you really give the feedback, this completes the communication. However, as I said earlier, if the message is not conveyed the way it is, if the message is not received the way it is, then it creates the barriers. And this is something which is probably most of the times really perturbed us. But students, I just tell you, again, as I said, communication is the basic thing. These barriers are also very basic thing to understand, which me and you on our daily routine basis encounter. So nothing to worry about barriers. We're moving on to next barrier. I'm sorry, we're moving on to the slides of the barriers, wherein if you look at this picture, that says that what I mean is what I understand. That makes the perfect communication pattern. But then in reality, things goes wavered. In reality, things goes confused. So somewhere, what is barrier? Barrier or breakdown or noise in the communication process prevents a communicator or filter a part of it or carry incorrect meaning, right? So somewhere anything can happen, anything can go wrong with the media. Let's say, God forbid, if the connection goes wrong, you'll not be able to get back on track when the connection comes back, because you miss on the communication what happened in between that process, right? So anything can happen, due to which misunderstanding may be created, right? Classroom mein baithe baithe 2 minute ke liye you went somewhere else mentally, and when you got back to the classroom, you miss on that point of lecture when ma'am was speaking something. So actually it disturbs the entire scenario, right? So we'll start with types of communicating with this. And please understand, all these barriers also routine matters, so you should not be confused. You can drop in the questions as and when you feel confused or at any point, right? Talking about the first type of barrier, which is semantic barrier. Please understand, the word semantic relates with the linguistic part of the message. That means language part of the message. As cement is necessary for the construction of strong building. Stronger the cement hold, stronger will be the building. You can remember semantic, stronger the semantic language, linguistic words in the message, stronger will be the communication. The moment anything goes wrong with words, however, the moment anything goes wrong with the language, the moment anything goes wrong with the encoding and decoding, because if you remember the process I just told you, encoding and decoding elements of the process actually comprehends the language at both the ends, right? So the moment anything goes wrong with encoding and decoding, that creates semantic barrier. So in semantic barriers, there are some subtype of barriers. We'll be talking about all of them one by one. So first type of semantic barrier is badly expressed message, right? There are times when you're not able to express yourself, probably with the help of text or probably with the help of your body language, or probably you went wrong with the usage of words, right? Maybe you had inadequate vocabulary to describe that, you forgot that word. At times it happens that the word doesn't come to your mind, right? Or you happen to use the wrong words to explain that, or you omitted certain necessary words that could have made that communication better. Then in that case, the message is said to be badly expressed. So at times when my father tries, I'm just giving you a real life example, when my father tries to use the short forms, he makes blunder while drafting the message, and I have to call back him again to ask him, what do you want to say? So obviously usage of words are very important. And I'll tell you one real Satik example for this, for you also. When you write your answers to the question given in the question paper, if you don't use the keywords, that means you omit certain needed words. If you write something else, yeah, that means you may use wrong words to describe the concept, or you may not have a proper vocabulary at that point of time when you're writing the answer. Your whole answer goes bad, right? And that is where you are not able to effectively communicate your answer to the person who is checking your paper, right? Another example, let's see this statement, roko mat jane do and roko mat jane do. So let's say there is this police patrolling happening and they're talking on walkie talkie, and one of them says that roko mat jane do, and probably by mistake they paused at a wrong place, right? Or probably while writing this also they paused at a wrong place, they put the comma on the wrong place. The entire meaning of the statement will change. Same way as one of my favorites is God is nowhere. And if I just tweak these two words, nowhere may say where may say W no ke paas laga do, so what will it become? God is now here, right? So somewhere usage of words are very important to effectively communicate. And if you tend to use wrong words or omit certain words, it may really lead to disaster, right? Moving on to the next barrier of semantic barrier, within semantic barrier, is symbols with different meaning. So my daughter tells me, Mama, look at the bat. So I was looking at her cricket bat and I was not able to locate where it is. And actually she wanted to show bat in the sky. So there was this bat in our balcony in the time of this COVID-19. But then yes, she wanted to actually show me the bat which is flying in the balcony, and I was looking for the bat. This is where symbols with different meaning actually confuse the people. So if let's say the boss is giving dictation to the secretary and he says right, and the secretary may presume it is as RIGHT, right? So she may not write and she just think that okay, he's confirming something that I'm going right, right? So somewhere English is very funny language. A wrong perception of the word or probably wrong understanding of the word may lead to again disaster, and that may lead to barrier to communication, right? Because the communication is not happening effectively. Another subhead in the barrier to communication, semantic barrier, is differences in the language, faulty translation, right? For example, you are let's say you're a participant in a contest wherein the judges belong to different language, right? And you have kept a translator with you And you were very sure that he'll handle whatever language the judges are speaking, he'll understand and he will communicate to me, and whatever I speak, he will communicate to the judge. But if he goes wrong with any such point wherein he was not able to properly translate, what will happen, dear students, in that case? Your answer will not be framed correctly, or probably the question of the judge will not be framed correctly, and hence, due to faulty translation, due to translator not being very proficient in both the language, may really make you lose that competition, right? So let's say अंग्रेजी speaking boss goes to the workers thinking चलो आज मैं motivate करता हूँ, and let's say if he uses some kind of words which he was not able to translate properly, then obviously poor workers will not be able to understand it properly, right? Moving ahead to the next subtype of semantic barrier, which is unclarified assumptions. Please understand, unclarified assumptions are related to assumptions or interpretations from the sender side. So if I say that do the work ASAP, so as a teacher we keep saying that do the projects ASAP, do the work ASAP. ASAP की interpretation तुम तो 2 दिन 3 दिन 1 महीना 2 महीना लगा देते हो and the work is not done. So probably I have to remove that unclarified assumption that whatever I'm saying ASAP is not interpreted by my students properly. I have to mention ASAP the meaning within 2 hours, within 2 days. So that is what makes the communication break down if I am going by some unclarified assumption that, okay, my students are very cooperative, understanding, they'll understand what I say. But at times it may raise some kind of barrier, right? So let's say if the boss says that take care of our guest, what is his interpretation of taking care of guests and what is your interpretation? So you like boutique hotels, 5-star hotels and all. So probably boss wanted to say that book an Oyo room and take care of our guests. But then you probably, as per your taste and preference, you book a 5-star or a boutique hotel room. And this leads to a lot of spending. So that is the problem of unclarified assumptions. So it is better to clarify all the assumptions in the beginning. Then there could be problem related to technical jargon, right? So technical jargon is something wherein the technical words are used by the specialists. See, every profession has some specialists and every profession has developed their own type of language, right? So when a specialist is using a technical jargon related to his own profession or her own profession, that is known as technical jargon. Please understand, technical jargons are different from the slang language, means those one-liners that we usually pose informally, right? But technical jargons are used by specialists in a particular profession. And when you're talking to a person which is belonging to a non-professional area, or probably a simple person like an employee or a worker, that person may not be able to comprehend that particular language, right? So that will again create a barrier in the understanding. For example, if I say GDP, you'll be quick to understand what is GDP, gross domestic product. Ordinal utility, you'll be able to quick to understand. If you're economics student, you'll be quick to understand what is ordinal utility. But if I tell it to any non-economic student, he'll be confused, he'll be scratching his head, what is this all about? Again, let's say the CEO decides that I'm going to motivate the workers and I'll go and say something. And he says, okay, my dear friends, bang for the buck. Now, this is a technical jargon used in management, bang for the buck, which means a term that is used for getting more money, more returns from your efforts. But bang for the buck, again, worker will scratch his head. What is he talking about? So basically, technical jargons may also create the semantic barrier, which because of specialist, which happens because of some special usage of words. Another technical or another semantic barrier would be body language and gesture decoding. So my boss says with a stern face, congratulations, Shweta. I would not really like him, at least smile to de do bolte hue. So body language also matters a lot, right? Mama Papa says with a very sad face, okay, you can go on trip. So can you interpret that somewhere their happiness is not there when they're telling this to you? So somewhere that's there in your mind, that goes in your mind that, okay, I need to stop and think about it again. So that creates again a barrier in the communication, because when you don't find any match between what is said and what has been expressed by the body movements, there comes a gap of understanding. You don't remain on that common platform of understanding. And this is how semantic barriers actually affect. Again, a short trick. This has been propagated by Ayush Khurana and scripted by Mr. Kapil for us. Sia men relates to semantic. Always symbolize. Symbolize, say I picked up, symbol with different meaning. He never expresses his emotion. Well, when you're not able to express your emotion, you're set to use badly expressed message, right? But it is not his fault. Again, but it is not his fault. That means I'm picking this word fault for faulty translation. It is assumed by the society that men never cry. So assume se maine pick kiya for unclarified assumption. So this trick you can actually use to learn semantic barriers if this creates a tension in your mind. But I'm sure if you will relate it with your daily life, you will be able to get conceptual clarity also on this, right? Moving ahead to the next type of barrier, which is psychological barrier. Now, psychological barrier, I'm taking you back to the process of motivation. There was a sender and there was a receiver. What happens at the time of sending the message? My state of mind was not very cool, or probably I was feeling sleepy, or I was occupied somewhere, or at the time of receiver receiving message, he was also not very conscious. Probably 2 baje raat ko message aata hai, to aap bas dekh ke chhod dete hain, next day you forget. So your state of mind is very important for the effective communication, right? Your emotional stability is very important for the effective communication. You must have seen, when you feel low, when you feel like to cry, you can't communicate well. So basically, psychological emotional barriers happen because of the state of mind of the both senders and receiver. Because living being में तो यही दो लोग हैं, which is wherein the transformation of messages happening. So you need to understand the psychology किसकी होगी, या तो sender की होगी या फिर receiver की होगी. So let's see their subparts. Well, premature evaluation. You can relate it very well with this particular point, because somewhere if I have done a particular topic, I tend to, mentally go out somewhere in the class, physically being there, but mentally I go out somewhere planning about my things and all, right? So a particular topic teacher is teaching and you miss on that message because somewhere you thought, you had that kind of preconceived notion or prejudice. I know it all. Why she's speaking all this stuff? But in the meanwhile, teacher also mentioned something about change in the topic, and you miss on that. Somewhere, when you have premature evaluation, somewhere you tend to evaluate meaning of the message before the sender completes his message. So, Mama Baba jab डांटते हैं, हम probably we shut our ears saying, पता है क्या बोलेंगे, but then हो सकता है कुछ नया मैटर हो डांटने का, सुन लिया करो. Please understand, students, one thing. I have learned this, that somewhere when you listen to people, you should be starting from zero. Don't think that you know it all, because when you think that you know it all, you miss on many things in between, and that is what actually break down the communication, right? So that was the first subpart. Second subpart, again, I'm sorry, I'm not targeting you, but then this is the real thing that we experience in class: lack of attention, right? When your mind is preoccupied, you had to go on trip after 10 days and you're thinking, yay shopping, go idea, let's make some entertainment ideas and all. Thinking about that and you're attending the class, will you be able to remember? If your answer is no, then obviously that is the breakdown of communication, right? So in an office, if boss is sitting and listening to the subordinate and he's actually busy with some other task, with authorities task, or probably some legal pointers have come, he's reading that and he's very engrossed in that. Probably the boss may react or respond, but his response would not be very satisfactory because he actually was not attending you properly. So again, when you're listening to something, when you are part of communication, you should have proper attention to listen to it, to make a mark of it. So somewhere, if you have understood this barrier, you'll be able to write it effectively in your paper. So that is the importance of attention. But if attention is not there, there'll be barrier. Next is loss by transmission, right? Loss by transmission, I'm telling you something and you're sending it to the different kind of people in the chain, and at the end message doesn't reach properly. So we play Chinese whispers many a time, right? Bachpan mein khelte honge, I'm sure. So you must have seen that the message that you started never reaches to the last person in the same sense, right? So this is what happens. The words get lost in the process. The words probably may change the meaning also, but then most of the times words gets lost in the process, in the transmission. So when you're talking to someone on phone and the signal goes bad, so do teen words miss ho gaye, so words lost by transmission. And do you really think that that may actually complete your communication? It actually will not. It will lead to the breakdown of the message. And you know what, this happens more in oral communication. And in order to solve this problem, most of the times in an organization context, communication is actually planned in a written format more than oral way, right? Another thing is, another thing within this particular sub element is poor retention, right? If you see in NCERT, both of these points are clubbed together, but you should understand the difference. One is loss by transmission, where words are moving, right? Another is poor retention. When I don't listen something very attentively, I tend to lose that information very quickly from my mind, right? Or probably I have a memory problem. Gajani dekhi hogi movie, right? So you have poor retention for some medical reason also, or probably because of some age factors also. So it happens many a times in an organization that when you're speaking verbally to your employees who are old in age, no offense please, but then when you're talking to people, they tend to, forget, or probably they're overburdened with information, then they tend to forget, or probably they're not interested in the information, then obviously you will again tend to forget. So poor retention could also be a reason to break down the communication. Moving ahead to the next sub element of psychological barrier is distrust. Now, distrust is something wherein probably because of past experiences, I am not very comfortable to share something with you. That creates distrust, right? Uh, God forbid, as a life means stands now, ho, but if it, at all it has happened, if probably somebody has breached your trust, you would not want to communicate the same matter. You would not want to tell your secrets to the same person, right? So when parties in an organization do not believe, there are trust issues, they cannot each other understand the perspectives of each other person, right? And when that happens, especially in an organization context, students, let me tell you, because you are going to manage your professions and or be the employees of some organization, especially in an organization context, if distrust happen, nothing can be sued back, right? So somewhere trust factor is important, but then when distrust comes, communication barrier also comes. Next type of communication barrier is organizational barrier, right? Now, again, I'm taking you back to the process. We talked about media as an element of communication process, right? If that media is not present, or if organization is not supporting that media, or if that organization is not facilitating such media, again communication, because what sender wants to tell to the receiver, when two people wants to be on the same page, on same platform, again the communication would be disrupted, right? So it will be break. So somewhere a few sub elements for this would be organizational policy. uh, there are organizations, let me tell you for a fact that there are organizations which will not really encourage free flow of communication. They will curtail it. So kahin na kahin, somebody who wants to give an idea or suggestion, they will prevent, right? So people are very conscious about it because policy doesn't allow. So especially this happens in a centralized communication pattern, when you're following a centralized pattern, and if the boss is not very comfortable taking idea, he will never make policy of free flow communication. And then coming on to the rules and regulations, again policy se hatkar baat kare, there are rigid rules of communication. The communication is very cumbersome, right? You have actually directed people to follow a particular prescribed method or channel to talk only, right? And you can't directly reach to the person. So rules and regulations ke hisab se bhi baat karenge, to at times there would be delay in communicating the matter, or probably at times you'll just leave it. क्यों बात करना, कौन इतने rules and regulations में पड़ेगा? So somewhere this will also curtail the real essence of communication. Then comes status, right? Status, see, status, how status comes? I mean, how does status come into picture? Status comes into picture because organization actually creates position, right? And you know what? When people sit on their positions, somewhere they know, okay, I am on this position and I am the one who is, running everything. And that doership comes to their mind, they actually stop communicating, right? They actually don't want to communicate anything with anyone. So status conscious manager may not allow his subordinates to express their feelings freely, right? I am sitting on a position and I don't want that particular thing to be challenged, and somewhere this is arising out of the organizational structure only. Organization has given me that position, right? Another barrier would be complexity in the organization structure, right? पूरा का पूरा structure इतना complex है that right from your CEO to the last supervisor, there's so many chains, span of management is so less, so many levels have been created. So obviously if a person from above has to communicate someone at the bottom, and bottom से अगर मुझे ऊपर जा रहा है, then obviously problem will arise, right? I have to complete the I have to do the entire journey, and there'll be more filtering points. And as a result, because of the complex organization structure, at times communication delays will happen, the communication will be distorted, or probably यार कौन जाएगा इतने levels of channels के through, I withheld my opinion with me only. In all such cases, communication will be disturbed. Coming on to the next subpart is organizational facilities. So we are living in the era of technology, and even in such scenario, if an organization is not providing intracom, if even in such scenario, if some organization is not providing intranet, even in such scenario, if an organization is discouraging WhatsApp, or they're not providing that facility, or probably they're not providing facility to have a quick communication platform, they're not organizing frequent meetings, they're not having suggestion complaint box, or social cultural gatherings are not happening, there is no transparency in operation, what do you think? Communication will happen in such scenario? It would be all, locked up, right? So when you're not meeting with your family members again and again, communication doesn't happen. Same ways when you're not meeting with the members of your organization because facilities ही नहीं है, आपके पास auditorium नहीं है, आपके पास उन्हें बिठाने की जगह नहीं है, then obviously communication will not happen effectively, right? So these are very basic type of reasons that actually breaks the communication. Moving on to the next and last type of barrier is, which is personal barrier. Now, again, going back to the process, personal barrier. I mean, who can be personal in the process of communication? Media cannot be personal. Yes, the sender or the receiver can be personal. They can have their personal choices. They can have their personal opinions, perceptions, prejudices, right? So basically, a personal communication barrier is related with personal factors of both the sender and receiver again. Please remember, psychological barriers were related to the state of mind, which could be very temporary, right? But personal barriers would be permanent. मैं जैसी हूँ मुझे कोई change नहीं कर सकता है, right? So सब में what opinions I have, yes, there could be transformation, but then usually people don't change beyond a point of time. So what their perceptions are, what their interpretation about themselves are, that creates personal barriers between superiors and subordinates. Let's see the sub-elements. In the sub-elements, we have first part which says that personal barrier happens because of fear of challenge to authority. See, this is superior's point of view, right? If I as a superior, I feel that if I communicate very freely to my subordinates, what will my subordinate think about myself? I have that fear of losing my authority. Usually in army context, this particular problem arises because major and generals and all, they have this fear that if they really freak out with their fellow beings, what will they think about themselves? Things are changing nowadays, but then yes, still there are people who will have fear of challenge to authority. And in that particular case, if superior wants to communicate anything, he will not communicate very easily, and it will adversely affect the communication process, right? Superior will withhold or suppress such part of communication. With due respect, at times our dads get too much into this particular factor, and that's why most of the times dads do not talk to us freely. So please explain it to him that somewhere we need to talk freely, and there's no challenge to authority we are going to pose, right? Yeah, this is the way we can actually remove that so-called generation gap, right? So somewhere, let's go on to the second part, which is lack of confidence of superior on his subordinate. See, lack of confidence of superior happens basically probably when, let's say, you're working with interns, or when you're working with freshers, or probably you've hired a new employee. Somewhere confidence comes slowly and gradually with the experience of the other person. And when I want to communicate something to some freshers, I'll not have that confidence probably, that whether they'll be able to handle such information, whether they'll be having some kind of competency to handle that matter of communication. So probably in that situation, the superior may not seek the opinions of people, right? So because of that lack of confidence, I'm sorry, superior may may be in dearth of ideas, because he's not communicating to his fellow beings, and having dearth of ideas also is a barrier to communication, right? So this is the point. And moving ahead to the next sub part, which is from subordinates point of view. As an employee, I may feel unwilling to communicate, when I'm at times, let's say if I'm new to organization, if let's say I know it very well that this is something which is not going to really help me out with the things, I may withhold that information with me only. Let's say if a meeting is going on, I may not speak about that particular point that comes to my mind. Now, the moment when you hold that opinion also, that is also barrier to communication. So when people are not communicating freely, because somewhere they have that unwillingness, that also creates barrier. And let's say next is lack of proper incentives. People keep looking for incentives, right? They need motivation to speak. And if you're that kind of person who needs motivation to speak, you will always speak when you get some kind of incentives. When I say very good opinion, very good suggestion, then only people would like to communicate. But in other situations, there are people also who are not bothered about incentives. They speak freely. But then when you're binded up by that factor personally, your perception is like that. You seek appreciation when you speak. Then if you don't get those appreciations, you tend to miss on to speak, and you don't share your or communicate with your subordinates or superiors. Now the question,
Shweta ma'am, I know we have a lot to tell them, so but I think we need to speed up a little.
yeah, ma'am. I'll just take on MCQs.
All right.
Yeah. The students, you can click this image of usual confusing points, which you can actually read later at your own pace. These are the usual confusing points: unwillingness to communicate and lack of proper incentives. Both belong to personal barriers. However, in first situation, the person is not willing only. In second situation, person is looking for incentives to speak. And then status and fear of challenge to authority. Status consciousness comes when you are on a position, right? So when you're on a position, that actually belongs to organizational barrier. And fear of challenge to authority is very personal. As a boss, I may be very free with my employees, so I may communicate without any barrier in my mind. Moving ahead to the measures to overcome barriers or improving communication. Please understand, the best solution lies in to see what is the problem, right? And when you have marked that problem in your mind, and you can resolve it very easily. So these suggestions would be just solving all the barriers. So first thing first, you analyze the problem in depth and then communicate. You communicate according to the need of the receiver, right? You should consider what the other person what kind of education level or understanding level the person has. You should consult others before speaking, right? And obviously, you should also keep in mind the interest and needs of the listener. So why this barrier stretched? Because somewhere I knew this, that barriers would be the confusing points, right? So communicate for the present as well as future. So if I say listen to this properly because you are going to achieve that, so you're actually linking the you're trying to beg the attention of the receiver, because he knows or she knows that I need to achieve that position or situation, and that's why you need to communicate for the present as well as for the future. And yes, obviously, be aware of the language, tone, and content of the message. If you're not doing that, you may hurt people's sentiment, and that may lead to psychological barriers also, right? Be a good listener. That's the main thing that you need to understand, because then only you're going to get the real essence of the message. And then you ensure proper feedback. What person has understood, if you're able to understand that thing, then you probably will be able to do the corrective ways if the person has not understood what you wanted to convey. And then obviously follow-up communication should also be there, because you need to keep a track on what other people are doing, right? Trick to learn, you can quickly click this and you can interpret and use this trick for your own purpose, or you can change this trick as well. Type of communication, there are two types of communication, and I know it very well. In an organization context, communication happens at formal level and it happens at informal level. On to formal level, there are two types of communication. Vertical as in moving on, moving up and down, right? Upward and upward communication, that is happening from subordinate to superior, right? And downward communication, when boss is communicating something to the subordinate. Horizontal, lateral position, when same level cadre of employees are talking to each other, right? So please read the grapevine and its advantage also. This is very important to understand. Moving ahead to the next topic. Sapna ma'am, all yours. So
All right, thank you, Shweta ma'am. I know we had a lot to tell our dear students about tips and tricks how to attempt this. But yes, today's revision, today's brush up was very important. They are in the right strand now how to take up the chapter. Thanks for the insight about the previous elements, ma'am. I take up, children, the last part of this chapter now, which is leadership, right? This is the fourth element of communication. Supervision is not there in testing, but motivation, leadership, and communication very much in detail. Now, when we are doing leadership, children, first of all, you need to understand what is the DNA of that, high-performing leader. DNA, you understand? I mean, what are those specific traits which make a leader having so many followers? एक line अपने आप से निकलती है, तुम दिन को कहो, रात को हम रात को कहें. I mean, what makes him having such a big fan following after him? So this is what, children, I want to discuss, the DNA of those high performing leaders, those resilient leaders, those proactive leaders. They have something in them. First thing is, they have an open mindset, and they don't transmit their mindset on their followers' minds. They let them have an open communication policy. One more thing is, they are very, very transparent. They are not at all, partial or biased, I may say. They don't think their people as job titles. They give value to their people. So they believe in one line, that if we care for our people today, if we are, compromising for them today, they will be the one who will be sacrificing for us tomorrow in the days of, need. So little gesture every day for your people will actually give you rich dividend. This is what the popular leaders like, Barack Obama, or you may say Buffett, Warren Buffett, and Ms. Modi, they all believe in. So moving further with this, you can see, if I'm talking about the definition as per NCERT, it is a process. Leadership is a process of influencing the behavior of people by making them strive voluntarily. Voluntarily, they start following, right? And if you're talking about the features of leader, the qualities of leader, if you know children, you'll be able to do the features of leadership also. Though qualities as such is not for testing, but in case of features of leadership, the first one is they have an ability to influence others. They bring change in the behavior of their followers through their, examples. They indicate interpersonal relations between leaders and followers. As I just told you, they don't take people as just job designations. They don't call them, hey, finance manager, hey, production manager, you're supposed to do this. They rather value their personal existence also, their individual existence also. And then if we move to the 3 different styles of leadership, you know, children, this is very much in your syllabus, the 3 different types of leaders. There are basically autocratic, there is democratic, and then there is laissez-faire type of leadership. You just have styles of leadership in your syllabus. You don't have then the further, importance or other part of this. Only this much in this topic. Autocratic leader, as the name only suggests, but one thing you have to remember is, these are the 3 qualities, these are the 3 styles which may be imbibed in one person only at different points of time. What I want to say is, these are situational specific. Depending upon the people whom you are leading, you have to change your style of leadership. So, my dear children, you have to just blow away that myth from your mind that autocratic leader means something very bad and democratic leader is the one whom we prefer. It's not that. These all are the personality traits of one person only. If he happens to have a balance of these 3 traits, if he can use these different styles of leadership at different times for different people, for different requirements, then I'll say he's a balanced leader, right? So first coming to the features of an autocratic leader or authoritarian leader, as the diagram only indicates that an autocratic leader has all followers who just have to abide them. Yes, boss is the policy, they have to listen to him and they have to abide by the instructions. This type of leadership, children, should be followed when it's your startup, when you have just started your innovative idea, when you have everything in your mind, when you think that your followers are not trained enough. We tried to mention the features of an autocratic leader, that he tries to control all decisions initially because he feels that employees are not trained enough, they are not, ready enough to register his style, his understanding. He clearly gives his expectations. He tells them that this is the decision-making time. Then it's the need of emergency decisions. He finally says a nod, and he doesn't keep on waiting what his employees would be thinking about. When we had researched a lot, we found that Steve Jobs, so very famous among all of us, he was a type of leader who showcased autocratic style of leadership. See the features of autocratic leader. He prefers to give orders to his subordinates and wants them to obey. Generally, he goes for a one-way type of communication. He's dogmatic. Dogmatic is a term which many children fail to understand. It's nothing, children, but very, very adamant type of leader at times who doesn't agree to change himself, who doesn't want to be contradicted at times, right? Then you can see suitability. Suitability here, children, we want to discuss. As I told you, don't attach any myth with any specific style of leader. Autocratic means Hitler. Autocratic means he's just going to rule, he's not going to listen to us. This style of leadership is also suitable in certain situations. So, as I was telling you, that when you feel that quick decisions making are to be done, maybe in the emergency situations, then only one person has to take decision. You can't keep on dilly-dallying the things that fine, I'll take his suggestion also, that suggestion also. You can't afford to. Similarly, when workers are undisciplined, not trained, not very trained, then also we have to go for this style of leadership. And sometimes, children, when you think that you have to ensure a specific labor productivity at a particular point of time, then also autocratic leadership works a lot, right? I move to the next type of leadership style, which is democratic. As the name suggests, he's a participative leader. And Barack Obama is a very fine example of the ex-president of USA who, showcased this style of leadership. So this type of leadership, you can use these type of diagrams while, writing your written stuff. आपको सिर्फ answer में points ही नहीं लिखने हैं. If you show on one side of your answer these diagrams also, little bit, flow charts also, it really works wonders. So it shows that a democratic leader, the two-way arrow very clearly indicates he listens also, he conveys also, there is a two-way communication, he is open to the grievances and problems and suggestions of his subordinates, and he side by side gives them instructions also. If we see his prominent features, then a democratic and participative leader permits that yes, there are consultations, there are open suggestion boxes where employees can also give their feedback. He performs, he ensures that, these people participates. Here I'm reminded of, again, I'm very fond of ISRO as an organization, the Institute of Scientific Research Organization, where, they have adopted a very wonderful style of leadership. They believe that when it's a time of taking blame, the leaders take the blame, and when it is time of taking the fame, they prefer their team taking all the appreciation, taking all the accolades. In fact, if you remember about Professor Satish Dhawan, one of the very initial leader of ISRO organization only, then it was a situation when, his very acclaimed mission of launching an SNV, it just failed, it could not attain success. So he took all the responsibility on his shoulders. And again, when there was a second mission, and then he preferred Dr. Abdul Kalam, who happened to be his junior at that time. He happened to meet him, face the media, and take all the appreciation. So these are again showing good qualities of a resonant leader, a proactive leader, that he sees that blame is taken by him, but when it is the matter of appreciation, it is not I, but we. The teamwork, the team performs, right? I move to the third style of leadership. The third style of leadership is laissez-faire. This is how we pronounce children, laissez-faire or free-rein leader. Free-rein means, in a way, he leaves you free. He leaves you at your own discretion also at times. He, no doubt, he doesn't leave everything openly to you, but he ensures that initially instructions are given to you, and then you are free to take up your decisions. This diagram clearly indicates we are talking about the features of laissez-faire leadership. You can see this leader does not believe in the use of power, right? He gives a lot of independence to his people because now he has trust among his people. He has trained his people. So initially, after giving them the instructions, he further go in giving them a free hand. You can also see some other features which have been stated here. And then in what type of situations this type of leadership is suitable? When group members are intelligent and fully aware of their roles. That means for trained workers, this type of leadership will surely work. I now move to this type of diagram where we have tried to summarize the three styles of leadership. Here you can see, on the top, use of authority by the manager. This is more in case of, see below, autocratic leaders. In case of autocratic leadership, more authority is exercised by the manager. However, if you move to free-rein leader, then the more authority is in the hands of the subordinates. So this is how we have tried to, demarcate this rectangle, showing how the authority level increases at this point, because here we are talking about autocratic leader. So similarly, the authority reduces in case of free-rein leader. You can have a screenshot of this also, and you can read this, a wonderful summary of the three styles of leadership. Besides that, children, now I'm just showing you a movie clip that will actually demonstrate the three different types of leaders. As I told you, leadership is situational. That means one single person should possess all these three qualities. He should be autocratic also at times. He should be democratic also. And at times, he should leave everything in the hands of his team. Let the teams perform. But then he has to be foresighted enough to see that employees are well trained and employees deserve this type of leadership. Please see this, go ahead and have a look at this video. I hope it is visible. There in the first, we are showing you the autocratic style leader.
सेंटर आप किस लिए हो तुम? क्योंकि टीम की सबसे सीनियर प्लेयर, तुम्हारा काम फॉरवर्ड लाइन के प्लेयर्स को हटाना नहीं, उन्हें खिलाना है। एक और बात, हर टीम में सिर्फ एक ही गुंडा हो सकता है, और इस टीम का गुंडा
Now demonstrate laissez-faire leaders, right?
70 मिनट, 70 मिनट है तुम्हारे पास। शायद तुम्हारी जिंदगी के सबसे खास 70 मिनट। आज तुम अच्छा खेलो या बुरा, ये 70 मिनट तुम्हें जिंदगी भर याद रहेंगे। तो कैसे खेलना है आज मैं तुम्हें नहीं बताऊंगा, बस इतना कहूंगा कि जाओ और ये 70 मिनट जी भर कर खेल लो, क्योंकि इसके बाद आने वाली जिंदगी में चाहे कुछ सही हो या ना हो, चाहे कुछ रहे या ना रहे, तुम हारो या जीतो, लेकिन ये 70 मिनट तुमसे कोई नहीं छीन सकता, कोई नहीं। तो मैंने सोचा कि इस मैच में कैसा खेलना है आज मैं तुम्हें नहीं बताऊंगा, बल्कि तुम मुझे बताओगे खेलकर, क्योंकि मैं जानता हूं कि अगर ये 70 मिनट इस टीम का हर प्लेयर अपनी जिंदगी की सबसे बढ़िया हॉकी खेल गया, तो ये 70 मिनट खुदा भी तुमसे वापस नहीं मांग सकता। तो जाओ, जाओ और अपने आप से, इस जिंदगी से, अपने खुदा से और हर उस इंसान से जिसने तुम पर भरोसा नहीं किया, अपने 70 मिनट जियो।
Showcasing the third style of leadership in the next.
रग रग मचल के बोली, टस है ना मस है जी, जिद है तो जिद है जी, किसना यूं ही पिसना यूं ही पिसना यूं ही बस करिए, कोई तो चल सिद्ध पड़िए, तू बेतरिए।
You can see, children, all the three styles of leadership being demonstrated by Saint King Khan. As I told you, it is totally situational. A person has to be autocratic also at times, he has to be democratic also, and he has to be free rein also. So that's all about today's chapter. We have tried to cover up all possible concepts in this, children. We can see your question and answer box also, where we can see you are very much interested in knowing which all topics are deleted from this chapter, which all are not there. So children, we have discussed all those topics only which are in your syllabus. Whatever have not been discussed, they are not there, right? You can see our videos also on the YouTube channel. In fact, they have been uploaded, and very soon more will be there for your watch. So I hope today's session was useful to you. Thank you, Shweta ma'am. I hand over to Dr. Madan for concluding.
Thank you so much, Sapna ma'am and Shweta ma'am. You really did a wonderful job, because from the very beginning, I was just observing the entire session, and it kept me also engrossed for the entire session. Really, I enjoyed it a lot. And I, being a teacher, when I can enjoy, obviously my children must have enjoyed it. Isn't it? Children, I think you must be agreeing with me. Yes. And of course, I would also like to extend my hearty thanks to Mr. Kapil, who was engaged in giving the answers to the children, and Monica Talukdar was also there to answer the questions of the children. And children, I really appreciate, because I was just opening the chat and I was just finding that many of the students, they were appreciating the concept, and they were saying that we have been attending each and every session of webinar series. Right, children, thank you so much for being here and can keep on encouraging us. And of course, your feedback matters a lot to us. One thing, children, because I was just finding one question when I was just evaluating the chat, and you were saying, okay, sir, can we have 2 sessions for 1 chapter? Means 1 hour session you are talking about. Children, I would like to say one thing. In examination also, you would be having 3.15, 3 hours and 15 minutes. there also you can ask for the break. नहीं, आप ये कहिए कि सर 1 घंटा 3 घंटे 1 घंटे के बाद break दे दीजिए, so that we are not habitual of having 3 hours sitting at one stretch, isn't it? Children, this is also a learning for you. Here you are having a habit to sit at one place for 2 hours, and that 2 hours is not a punishment, it is a learning. Dear children, please make it a positive point that here you are spending 2 hours for your learning only, and that learning is having a different flavors. Children, you must have observed every time we have different teachers. It is not the same teacher. आपने देखा होगा स्टाफिंग के टाइम डिफरेंट टीचर थे, प्रिंसिपल ऑफ मैनेजमेंट के टाइम कोई और टीचर थे. When we were talking about the nature and significance of management, we had a different teacher. Do you have different teachers in your school for different chapters? Answer is no, isn't it? So rather, I must say you're fortunate enough that you're having here a team of teachers, and all the teachers, they have expertise of their own particular chapters. Although it's not that they can't teach other subjects, other chapters also. Of course they can, but they are more comfortable, right? So we have chosen those teachers, and the purpose is very simple, that we wish to give you the best out of best. Right, dear children? So I wish you all the best, and I'm very much hopeful कि जो हमारे आगे आने वाले जो सीरीज है, आगे आने वाला जो हमारा सेशंस है, वो भी आपको ऐसे ही पसंद आएगा जैसे कि हमारे पास्ट वेबिनार आए हैं. Children, now we are having 2 days break, not 1 day break. So we will be meeting you again on Thursday, not on Tuesday. Sorry, Wednesday, right? Previously we were having 1 day break. Now we will be having 2 days break, and now we would meet you on Thursday at the same time, 10 to 12, and the second session, that is 3 to 5. Okay, wish you all the best, and thanks once again, Sapna ma'am and Shweta ma'am. You really did wonderful job. You gave very live examples. I was just watching the entire session, and your examples were really wow, because if I talk about leadership style, and you made it very correct, that leadership style is a situational. A same person may not be autocratic all the time. It is just a situation in which he behaves like an autocratic leader, right? As you gave in the one movie only, you showed all type of leadership style with the same person. Although person is the same, but his styles are different at different situations, right, Pam? So I became your fan, to be very honest, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir, for such brilliant encouragement. In fact, you are the leader whom we are following now.
Oh, okay.
And we really promise children for further engaging sessions. We all will be there with further more new creative ways of providing the chapters in most interesting way. Thank you so much, sir. Again.
Yeah, and dear children, you are going to find all these videos also because these webinars are recorded also, and you can find all these recorded webinars on our YouTube channel. Although 4 chapters have already been uploaded over there, so you can visit our website also, you can visit our YouTube channel also, you can find over there, and please communicate to all your friends who have not attended our webinar so far, because there is a limitation, because we cannot entertain everybody here, because there is a limitation. So all those students who cannot attend our webinar series, right, so please ask them to look at our YouTube channel. Okay, fine, dear children. So once again, wish you all the best. Good luck.
Wish you all the best, everyone.
Thank you. Wish you all the best. Good day. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please.